go. Oh, we've just gone live. Were we not live before?
A bit.
I'm gonna. Were we not live any?
No, apparently not. Go back a bit and then go again.
Okay. So okay, rewind. Okay, rewind. So the rewind. I saw people advertising loads and loads of stock all over the place, saying they'd got a warehouse full, they've got a car full, they've got going to boot sales, they were garage was full of all this stuff that's been delivered by TikTok. And I was like, oh, I wouldn't mind some of that. So I contacted a couple of them, and none of them wanted to sell the stuff in bulk because they knew it had intrinsic value and they could get more for it selling it individually. So they didn't want to do a deal, and I was like, this would have been ideal for comfort cases. Now comfort cases do gifting to, well, they every single month they're short of how many cases they can give to foster care children because they don't have the money and the funds to do what's needed. But at Christmas, they go out full out for supporting the foster care leavers who are leaving the care system and then suddenly finding themselves out there on their own. I was one of those, and I can tell you it's eat or heat. It's not eat, heat, or mascara, eat, heat, foundation, eat, heat, decent hair shampoo or something. You'd, if you were lucky, you'd get somebody will buy you some, or you might get the odd sample given to you, but you were living hand to mouth. It's that bad, and it hasn't got any better from what I can gather. If anything, it's got worse. So all this idea kept going round in my head until eventually I decided to join TikTok. Now, lots of people advised me against it. They said, you're not cut out for that. That's not you. You're too old. It's for young people. It's dancing. It's da da da. And I was like, no, I'm going to be fine. Just, I'll be fine. I'm going to be 62 in 9 days' time. And in 62 years of my life, I have never had the amount of abuse that I've had as I've had on TikTok. And the reason for that, I've discovered, is because you're different. You're not giving tarot readings. You're not there selling things. I'm supposed to be. You're not there really doing anything. You're talking about mental wellness. You're talking about looking out for each other. You're talking about people on the streets. We're talking about every night I try to come up with a topic that is relevant to what's going on in the world. And so, we'll talk about all the things that I think could be topical and interesting. As a direct result of this, you have to understand that people have really not got what social media is about. So you've got Facebook, which I believe is more family orientated. People use it as a place to keep the photographs, places to continue with family stuff. I've never been on there because of our very disjointed family. It was best not to. When you talk about going to, say, Instagram, that's very much photographs, and it seems to be the sort of 20-ish plus that are really interested in that. Then you've got the LinkedIn, which is very much a professional platform with this little add-on. But even this is still professional, and the people on it are professional. And then you've got TikTok. I wanted to call it a cesspit. I was told not to call it a cesspit because I'd probably end up being booted off it. I asked them for help because so many people were sending me messages that were so disgusting and awful that I couldn't believe it was possible. I mean, one of the comments was, for example, we laughed about it. I mean, Dolly Parton said she was going to give me 100 grand for the charity and give my husband a truck. Now, Charles is waiting for his truck. I told him it might not happen, but he's still waiting for Dolly's truck, you know? And it might be an ideal birthday present, but you know, the whole point is it will be a, you know, matchbox effort. But this is what they do. They don't come on as themselves. They use a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minute. They are everything from Dolly Parton through to Harry Styles. I've got more Prince Fazzers and Elon Musks than you'd care to mention. I had over 100 Elon Musks so far in the 5,000 that I've deleted. And when I say I've deleted them, I've just unfollowed them. If you unfollow somebody, it means they cannot DM you. They cannot send me those messages. So even if I get rid of them, the problem that I have is they come back. They don't have one account. This is something that I've really had to get my head around. And I didn't understand. I mean, like, I'm Paulette Hallam, right? I'm Paulette Hallam here. I'm Paulette Hallam on podcasts. I'm Paulette Hallam on TikTok. I'm Paulette Hallam on my books. And like people are going, what are you going to call yourself? And I'm like, Paulette Hallam, I thought. So no. People call themselves all kinds of strange names. In the main, they're celebrities or princes or I've got a couple of King Charleses, and not the Cavaliers, the actual king, picture of the king. I'm not sure how loud that is, but anyway. You have just loads of people with really dirty names. So it'll be like Vibe and then Rater. So you say, oh, hello, I'd like to, invite Vibe Rater to the room. You go, oh, done it again, didn't I? You know, everyone, you know, you feel like they're just waiting to catch you out. Mr. Debate didn't work for me because that one I knew. But there were so many of them. And I mean, so many. And even if it's not their name initially, it's as soon as they get in the room, it's, are you going to get your dicks out? Because if you're not, I'm going. It's like, well, bye then, you know? I've never known anything quite like it. I spoke to TikTok eventually after going through the bot system. And the reason they spoke to me is because I've had one of the highest growths I've ever seen for a complete, like, non-celebrity, non-anything. I'm not anybody special. I'm just a person. But to get to 12,400 followers in 59 days is unheard of. So to aim for 15,000 by my birthday in 9 days' time is quite possible. It's quite feasible. We're doing about 200 a day. But we'll see. It might not happen. But it doesn't really matter. The reason I did it is I did do some homework. I did do some revision. And it is a game of maths. So let me just tell you how it works. 20,000 followers equal 10%, 2,000 genuine people. And then 10% of the 2,000, 200, will be regular followers, will come to your rooms and will actually potentially buy from you. So you need 20,000 people to actually run a company that's successful, that will regularly sell products. So the reason I started drumming up trade, as it were, by just being nice, talk about products, talking about me and kindness and wellness and looking out for people, especially in all this heat and all kinds of stuff like that, you know, topical stuff, but nothing that was major. And the key of it all is that I never understood how social media works. So on LinkedIn, you follow me, I follow you. That's kind of the general protocol. I should have checked the protocol on TikTok, because I thought if you follow me, I follow you back. So I didn't know you only get 10,000. So once your 10,000 are used, you've had it. You've probably given at least 9,800 of those to people you didn't really want to. And they've now got direct access to you. And you open your DMs up and you wish to goodness you didn't. One day I had 800 DMs. I'm sure that some of them were just different people, the same person on different names, just sending the same filth. But it was filth nonetheless. The weirdest things are funny, like can I have a picture of your toes? Do you get hair on your toes? And if so, could you cut your hair toes and hairy toes? And I'll buy your hairy toes off you for charity. It's like, no, go away. Pubic hairs. If you show your pubic hairs, like, no, don't think that's happening either. Those things I kind of can. When I laugh, I mean, it's not funny, but it's not like, it's just like, ugh, you're a weirdo kind of thing. But when people tell you they've masturbated onto your face while you're talking on one of your videos, that is disgusting. When people tell you they've printed off your face and turned it into toilet paper, that is disgusting, right? All because they don't like nice. They don't like kind. They don't like I'm LGBTQ plus positive, or that I will say something about, I think it was Pride, and I just said, oh, happy Pride to everybody. I got so much hate for that. From the older generation hit me with that one. So they're not just the crazy ones, aren't just the young ones. There's as many crazy older ones as there are young ones. And I think the biggest lesson that I want to really say is that now that we're all living on this social media world, this is where we're going to meet people, how we date people, how we don't meet on the train, we don't meet at the coffee machine, we don't meet on the work, going out for a drink after work type things, because we're not working in the office anymore, working from home. So there's a huge social aspect that's gone. And so now you meet on platforms like TikTok or the hopefully not the swipey ones, but on some of the other ones, right? But for me, the whole reason I wanted to do this was kind. It was, I wanted to be the person who received all those samples. So I've been getting the samples. I've also been ordering some bits. Then the companies see you, they see you do a video on the products, they like it, they then give you some products. This is how it works. So gradually, people are starting to trust me, and I'm getting inundated. And every day, boxes and boxes and boxes stuff pile up. I mean, pile up. And when I got asked if I'd like to be the Mac girl, the face of Mac, it was quite funny. Not as in a Mac model, but just because I was talking about Mac product that I'd bought online in the deal. And I was demonstrating it all without opening it. So I'd be going out and say, and this is the most wonderful lip gloss you ever tried. I had some on earlier and it was absolutely lovely. And it's a sealed unit because I want to give it to the kids in care or the care leavers. Or I'd demonstrate, say, for example, a palette with all the eyeshadows in it. And, it's unused, untouched. I don't demonstrate it putting it on my face because I want to keep it whole and clean and neat so that I can give it to the care leavers. My whole purpose was to get product. A couple of weeks ago, maybe 3, I wasn't well. I'd hit a bit of rock bottom. My stomach was horrendous. I wasn't feeling well, and I didn't do a live. You have to go live every single day for 1 hour minimum. You can do 2 half hours, you can do 4 15 minutes, you can do 6 10 minutes, but as long as you do 60 minutes a day, then you're not in trouble. I wasn't well enough to even do take a telephone call. I got these penalty point things, fines they call them, and I just felt like this is ridiculous. And then I got talking to some people who said, but did you not realise why we were doing the videos when we were on holiday? And then I went, oh yeah, I remember you talking in the pool. Why was you doing that? Because you have to. Every day. What? Even when you're on holiday? Yeah, even when you're on holiday. There's no break. You have to do an hour. And people do hours, and they line them all up, and they do them as shows, and they put them out. They store them all, and they back them all up, and they put the videos out every day on a certain time, and the computer just swipes one across, whichever one is the right day. There are ways around it, but in the main, people tend to just pick the phone up and have a little chat about whatever's going on, show a few like scenery and whatever, and then talk, hours up, goodbye. Every day. I was like, flipping heck, what have I got in? Now I'm in trouble at home because I said to Charles, I can't believe that I've got myself in this, because I'm getting so much abuse and yet so much praise. On the one hand, TikTok go, well done. I feel like a puppy dog. Well done. You're such a good little puppy dog. And then I've messed on the floor. Accident happened. I wasn't well. And I got beaten and kicked out the door, on my nose rubbed in it. It really is and feels like that. So I spoke to the bots first. The bots were very helpful. The bot said, stop all DMs. So I said in the room the next day, I spoke to one of TikTok's solutions, and they came back with stop all DMs. That means nobody will ever be able to contact me outside of the room. And they were like, but that's not right, because if we want to talk to you, or we want to suggest something, but we want to be able to talk to you. And I said, well, the nice ones I wouldn't mind, but unfortunately I've got too many that aren't nice. And they were like, well, there must be another way. And then TikTok said I could leave. That was another option. But as I'm on target to hit this magical 15,000 by my birthday, which will be 65 days on TikTok. So in 65 days, I would have reached 15,000 followers, which, considering what I've just said about the quality of the followers, doesn't say an awful lot. But 15,000, 1,500, 150. I would say that's probably very true. That number is probably right. And I now see where it comes from. And it's bizarre, but it's true. When people advertise on TikTok, I'm wondering who they're advertising to. Because people aren't themselves. They're not their own name. They're not their own identity. They might have 6 accounts. They are rude, obnoxious, and very much sort of misogynistic attitude towards women, especially older women. I was told I was too effing old and just effing go kill myself, and I was like, oh, nice, cracking. I said, I really hope that you never speak to anybody who's not in a good mental state, because if you do, then you could cause so much harm. And I got told to go F myself again. I thought, Charles said, why did you even engage with them? And I was like, I was trying to give them a reason not to do it again. And it's like, don't reason with them, just delete them. So now they just get deleted. But it's not easy.
Pause. Why have you paused? Why have you paused? No, she's paused. Why has Paulette paused? Okay, blame the tech. Yeah, tech's going round. Okay, my chance to welcome my friends. How you doing, Prof? Good to see you. We've had technical glitches and life issues today, but we're here. Prof and I are going live on Thursday, so we're going to talk about my beloved book, our book. You're
So
back.
what's happened?
We
I've
lost you
not
for a
gone
few seconds.
anywhere.
We lost you for no. Let's say your screen was just spinning.
It just said your signal was lost.
Yes. So now that spinning wheel that no one likes to see on the screen. Let me do some more welcomes and I'll come back to you. Yeah, right. Of course, Miss Lisa is here as well. How you doing, Lisa? It feels like a long time, Lisa. It feels like ages. Yeah, I'm missing Lisa, even though she's here, right? Michael, how you doing? Glad you're here. What says, can I chat today? What's the DR is what's the who he's talking about comes from women also. Yes, let's talk about the content. It's not just men. We agree with you on that one. And the social media is a cesspit. I said it. And today, no, he said Michael says, I did go along with a scammer from Nigeria once. A lot of just younger people trying to get some money to survive. That's their problem. They're selling individual attention. That's their problem. What I can't accept, Paulette, is that this has anything to do with you. This is not our topic says where you don't fit in, right? Where you don't fit, being in spaces where you don't fit. This is not you not fitting. This is idiots trying to hijack spaces.
No, there's no place for sensible conversation. There's no that's why I've grown so quickly, because there are people who genuinely need and want to listen to a sensible conversation and have some sort of relationship with somebody down the screen, as it were. The idiots just want to cause as much disruption as possible so that the old lady goes away and they've won. So it's like, let's all jump on the old lady and get rid of her, and then it's fun, you see.
I'm not sure. And I would argue with it. I'm looking at Michael's comment, right? Now Michael says the secret is that he's a retired gamer. So what's tonight? Say we play games, right? So he's using X to regather his old mates. So the game that they were playing was downloaded 41 million times. That was 10 years ago. I can't keep up with the messages. Just right now, all he can do is randomly answer people unless he knows them, and then marks them all as read. Now, we're getting how many DMs a day? 800 DMs a day. That's a bit much, my friend. Seriously, right? Now, here's my. If anyone wants to come and have a conversation with Paulette, the link is in the comments. I'll send the link to some of you, right? Now, this same rubbish happens on X. The same toxicity that happens on TikTok happens on X, which is why I'm on X, but I do nothing with it. I'm not interested in arguing with people about nothing. I don't care that much about anything that they want to talk about, right? So I'm not sure if you left would make them happy. They will find.
So, yes, I agree with that, but I also think that if I was dancing around to some song and making everyone laugh, then that would be fun, and therefore I would be entertaining, and it would all be great. But because I'm not doing those things and I'm not getting my tits out, as they say, and the women, oh my God, honestly, when Mac sent me all this product, I got so much hate because Mac had sent me product. Why did Mac send you product? Said one woman. You are 60. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm old and I've got product. And
This
then
this this is not you invading their space. This is them just being rude.
well, yeah, but
Really?
also they don't want the competition. Like
Yeah.
suddenly, like I've got maybe 5 or 6 big brands are saying, have all this stuff, and I'm going, oh great. And like I said, I go like this was the lipstick I put on earlier. It's absolutely fabulous. And if you looked at it, you'd see it's never been opened, right? And the reason it's never been opened is because it's going in a kids in care bag.
You've never
I
used
show
it.
I show palettes of all the colours and go, look. And then this is brand new, it's still sealed, right? And the reason I
Yes.
do that, or if there's a product that I've bought and I have in my house and I'm getting given it for free, I'll use the one that I've got to show and put the
Mm,
one that they've given me in the package.
of
But what I'm
course.
trying to say is there are some companies who have been so generous and have sent me so much product. And I said, look, we're going to be clearing this warehouse anyway. What would you like? And I went, anything and everything, whatever you've got. And literally, the biggest box in the world turned up. So you have to be really grateful when those things happen. But there's so much toxicity from women who hate you being successful,
Hmm.
from the scammers. Oh, don't get me started on the scammers. Every day, right? Every single day, I swear to you, every day, I get offered 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, 9,000, 12,000. Would you like all this money? And what you have to do for the money is just talk to them. Just come and talk to me every day for an hour. Well, this lady told me, she came up and she was very brave and she said, I did I did that for $3,000 because I was so skinned and I was so behind with my rent that I thought this was a way. I'm a single parent. It wasn't prostitution, it was just talking to some older person who is probably lonely, she thought. So when she used the 3,000, she did sign something on DocuSign. She took a screenshot of it. And basically, the bottom bit said, that or the bit, not she didn't know it was the bottom bit at the time. The bit that she signed said that she would spend 1 hour per day speaking to this guy for the whole month. So she said to the guys after 3 weeks, what date will I receive the next payment? And he said, oh, I'm glad you brought that up. He said, I was going to have to bring it up myself, only I don't have any money. In fact, the money I've given you, I want back, and you need to pay the interest. So she said, sorry. He said, yeah, the contract for the loan that I gave you. And she said, what contract? And then he, of course, unravelled the paperwork. There was the little bit that she signed on DocuSign, but above it was his name, address, all his details, everything, stating that she'd borrowed this 3,000 off him, and now she's going to pay it back 3,000 plus $3,000 plus compound interest. So she went to a solicitor. The solicitor said, "We'll deal with it."
It's not going to hold
So
water.
because
It's not going to stand
dress,
up anyway.
they were able to get rid of him and whatever. But she had to
Mm,
leave TikTok for 6 months because he hounded her, hounded her,
mm.
spoke horrific things about what she'd offered, photographs and all sorts. None of it true. None of it true. And she said that she can't speak badly enough about the scams. I joked about $100,000, right? Dolly Parton said
Mm.
100,000 to me and a truck for Charles. Charles was chuffed to bits about getting his
I'll
truck,
take
and
it.
I told him, most unlikely, mate. Don't get too excited. Now that is going to be
That.
a great birthday present, right? Not the 100,000, but a little miniature truck and an IOU. I thought so that will be very funny. But the point
Mm.
I'm making, and Ben's got me a Dolly Parton birthday card, so it'll be really funny. But the point that I'm trying to make is this: had to find humor in hate. We've had to find humor in horrific, scary, nasty things that you shouldn't have to see, hear, or be party to. When the people on TikTok just want to have a sensible conversation. So I will find that 150, because the way it works is they say 20,000, 10%, 2,000 will be regularly sort of come and see you maybe. And then 10% again, 200 will be those that would actually buy from you. So you need 20,000 to get 200. That is a horrific
Ridiculous.
ratio,
Yes.
right?
I mean, that's one. Is that 1%?
Well, yeah. It's 10% of 10% of 10%, right? So
1%.
10% of 20,000 is the 2,000. 10% of the 2,000 is the 200. So if I end
1%.
up with 15,000, yeah, but if I end up with 15,000 followers by the end of July, then 150 might be regulars. I might know their name. I might see them on a regular basis. I probably know 30 pretty much quite well now that are always there as soon as I say I've gone live, whether it's 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever time I go live, they seem to turn up. And they are all with me, and they are all like, what can we do? We'll all be moderators. They're all like putting their hands up and going, get our fists out, we'll go, I'm like, no, I don't want to fight to keep myself safe and mentally safe, because it's destructive. And what I was saying about being told to go kill myself, that I'm, waste of life, waste space, waste of air, etc., etc. When people say that enough times, when they tell you that they've done things to your face that you don't want to think about on a live video, or when they tell you that they've a recorded video, when they tell you they've turned your face into toilet roll, you do start to think, am I really that ugly or that horrible they don't want me here? Am I such a bad person? Am I talking such absolute shite that they don't want me?
This is why I say again, it's nothing to do with you. Is there vileness? No, this is a public space, right? And as much as TikTok have no response, social media has no response. Sadly, this is not what they intended when they set up the platform. It wasn't meant for a to be a cesspit of abuse and perversion and disgusting behaviors, right? So this is it's not for you to leave. It's for them to leave.
Yeah, but they
I'll say,
won't. And their attitude, Annie, was they gave me the three options are you can leave, you can have no DMs at all, or don't follow anyone, delete all your followers, and then that's it. And it was the most blunt response to a problem. And I said, I'm trying to help you here. I'm actually here almost as a social experiment. And I'm saying to you, I'm trying really hard to hang on, but I'm teetering on the edge of calling it a day. What do you think about this? And they said, bye. It really is. They couldn't give a flying what's it, because as I leave, there'll be another 10 Paulettes waiting to come on. And that's the truth of it. The whole thing is a numbers game. The whole thing is the TikTok shop, which is what I'm on, which is predominantly where I'm trying to go with it all. The TikTok shop idea really has been so full of gaslighting, so full of bitter women that can't be asked to do it themselves, but can't wait to pull you down. I was telling them that I'd watched a video about where you do a 5 and a 3 to get your contouring, and I was like, I know I'm doing it all wrong, so I was trying to do it right. But I said I came downstairs jokingly. I said, I didn't say it was a joke. I just said I came downstairs with a 5 and a 3 on my face and said to Charles, which one do you think suits better? And he just looked at me and went, you've got 53 on your face. Like, it was supposed to have been a joke, right? And this woman turned around and went, "You're not funny." And I was like, "Okay, moving on then." And it's like the audience is quite tough tonight, you know. If I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, I wouldn't be on TikTok. I'd be on the stage somewhere, right? So the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, you know, who is the right person for TikTok? Who is their profile? What are they looking for? And when this ban comes in, how are they going to monitor it? And are they even going to monitor it? And I honestly will tell you now, from being on it, this little bit that I've been, I think I'm day 58 now, 59. I think it's got to the point where I'm like, well, it's got to be 29.65, so yeah, 58. I think it's got to me to the point where I'm thinking, if people say to me, you shouldn't have followed them, you shouldn't have replied, just ignore them, don't do this, don't do that, don't let them abuse you, don't let them do this to you. They've got no clue what it's like when you're the one that's on the receiving end. And all I would say about it is that if there is no respect, no accountability, there's no consistency, there's no honesty, it's full of scammers. I've been scammed. Somebody offered me a load of bags for the children, and they offered me a really cracking deal. But they said they didn't want to do it on TikTok, they wanted it off TikTok because they were trying to give me more value, whereas TikTok take like 12%, they would give me more stock. Very believable. Then they were going to put bigger bags and smaller bags and smaller bags and smaller bags, purses, give me all this stuff. And it was a cracking idea. She said she'd bundle it all up and let me know what the weight was, and then I had to pay the freight. But it wouldn't be too bad because it was done by FedEx, and they do prices at a very good rate, blah, blah, blah. This was from the US to the UK. Then she told me I needed to pay another £35 for tax, some sort of tax. Then, because of Trump has put this rules in about shipping, there was an additional tax. Then the FedEx guy phoned me. Now, this was very strange. I got a phone call from FedEx, wink, wink, who didn't have a tracking number, didn't have any reference, nothing at all. And funny enough, sounded awfully like the person I've been talking to, and kept calling me ma'am, exactly the same accent and exactly the same way, an Indian accent. And they were saying that basically, ma'am, if you need to pay another $35. And I was like, no, I'm not paying any more money. I want my money back. And they were like, well, you're not going to get it. We're not going to give you your money back. And they said, because you pay by friends and family, you won't get it back from PayPal. So it's up to you. Either we keep the money or you pay the extra $35. And I said, but if I pay the $35, you'll be back on the phone tomorrow saying you want more. I'm sorry, you've run too far. So I went to PayPal, and PayPal went, nah. Computer says no. Then I went to the bank because I'd paid friends and family. So as soon as you pay friends and family, that means they've got no claim on it. Then I phoned the bank and said, the bank, would they stop the payment to PayPal? And the bank said, no, it's on your own head, be it. So that was something we had to swallow ourselves. And I sat with Charles and I apologised and said, I've wasted a lot of money and I'm sorry. And it ended up being like nearly $180 we lost. And I was gutted because I was trying to explain to people in the room, if you think that I only make like £1.75 or £2.50 a book, that's a lot of sales of books that was just lost in that one transaction of theft. And there is no other word for it. It is theft. And when people tell me, I've been told by people, but then it's not the Nigerians' fault. It's not the Africans' fault. It's not the Indians' fault. They're living in poverty and they will have to do whatever they have to do to feed their families. And you should not be angry with them. You should not be angry with them because you're the one that's supposed to be this kind soul. So you should see that you're not being fair. Because on the one hand you want to help the kids in care, but you don't want to help the African. I said, no, if the African person said to me, "Can you help me out and feed my family for a week because we're that desperate and we need $30," I might have considered it.
You
But to
have done,
steal from me,
you've done
different.
that many times. You've helped many. You help people.
I help people all the time, Annie, and you
Yeah,
and me all
yeah,
know it. And I'll
exactly.
tell you now, it's got to the point where philanthropy is making me so sad because unfortunately, once you do it once, you offer money once, you offer to help once. I've been caught so many times by the same people, and then when you say no, they start to spread rumors about you. They even said one American lady set up a whole. Do you remember she had a whole hate group about me that she set up because I wouldn't give her money for drugs. I said to Annie she needs money for bread and milk and stuff, and then he said no, it's for
Mm.
cannabis. Don't do it. So I said okay, I didn't. And then the next thing you know is she set up a whole hate group about trying to gather like the people that normally come to the room to hate me because I wouldn't give her money because I wasn't what I said I was. I wasn't a nice kind person. Truly I was evil. And it was like people were coming to me and going, "Did you know this is happening?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've heard." And that's on LinkedIn. So
Mm.
don't think that LinkedIn doesn't have its moments.
I agree.
The
It's
scams on LinkedIn are there. The cybersecurity issues are there.
mm.
The people that are copying accounts and copying the way you speak and copying your voice and copying your facial um, actions and then making videos like you and then telling people that you need money, family members and people like that. This is now the latest. This is how clever this whole AI cyber stuff has got. It's terrifying. But for me now, I'm just sitting here going, where's the honesty? Where's the care? Where's the love? Where's the sensitivity? And where's the understanding that you're trying to do a good thing? That's my whole issue with everything. Do you want to say some hellos? I know you got to go, Annie.
No, no. I think my wife has gone in son's car
Oh,
to go
okay.
and get him. So, Christy, thank you for joining us as always. So, you talking about people using their names. I say all my accounts are identifiable. Of course, they have to be, right? You know, I mean, my personal YouTube is my name. My name and surname. I can't. I've never used a made up. Even in games, Michael, I don't use funny names. My son's called Goopy Shoes. On these games, mine is Neo. Strange that. So and look in all these spaces, all of them, even in the gaming world, right? Trying to imagine what happens on a Saturday night. I watch my son do it every day. I tried it and I was like, no, 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 thanks. Here's what happens on Saturday nights, right? Friday night as well. Basically you get the hardcore players come out. The old men trying to compete with kids, right? They come in a group, and let's say you get stuck in the team. You know what's going to happen, right? And you get stuck in the team and you lose or you die. Suddenly everyone's screaming at you, get away, literally abuse at you. I'm just like, I'm not putting up with that rubbish. None of that. I don't play online games. So I can imagine what you're trying to say when you say you have a choice in the end. Do you just leave? Do you stay? So I know you're going to tackle those points. We're going to stay. What do we do? We're going to leave. What do we do? Right? But literally, it's not on me if people have their own mental health issues. This is Mental Wellness Cafe, right? I'm saying, and that's what I think. That's what they've got mental health issues, and they will always try and put people down. Go on, please.
I was about to say to you that the words that come out of some of these people's mouths are so horrific that if you did have mental wellness issues or mental health issues, it would be enough to push you over the edge. That's how horrific they are. I've not even told some of the things that have been said
Yeah,
because I don't want him to even know. When I told my husband, he just said, just leave. Just leave. Just draw a line. It's been something. Leave. The volume of hatred, the issues, the names, the things they say. Yes, they might only be kids, but at the end of the day, they're still words, and they're still words that could hurt people. They might not be hurting me, but they could hurt someone else. We've
yeah,
got to think about the mental health and wellness of other people on these platforms. And if they're getting the sort of crap that I've been getting, they certainly wouldn't be coping. I know they wouldn't. And, the only thing that I can do, and this is what I have been doing, is saying to people, I'm really, really sorry. I said it yesterday. I said, I'm really, really sorry. I hope you all understand, but I've just unfollowing everybody. And they were like, what? And I'm like, well, I'm not deleting you. I'm just unfollowing you all. And they were like, but why? And I said, I will then follow those who come to the room on a regular basis. They will be the ones that get followed. And then I'll end up with a very small number of followers. But at the end of the day, at least that'll stop them being able to DM me. They can't DM me if they don't have access to me.
I agree.
They can come in the room and say rude things, but then the moderators, who are the people that are saying, look, we'll protect you, and they're doing all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because I said, I'll just leave. I've just had enough. I'm just going to go. And they were like, please don't go. Please don't go. We don't want you to go. And I was like, well, okay, then. If you really don't want me to leave, I won't. But on the grounds that this is not a long-term plan. This was always a short-term plan. I'm dipping my toe in. And right now, my toe wants to get out. I want to get out. I would like nothing more than to go, that didn't work, right? But I can't do that because I have obligations. I've had products delivered. I've got to demonstrate. I've got to do videos. I've got to do reviews. I've got all kinds of things I have to do. I've probably got at least another 8 weeks' work. So that's fine. I don't have any issue. That takes me to the end of August. And then I think at that point I will be no more a tiki-toki. And I will probably have an account of 20,000 people. And I might actually be able to monetize at that point. But do I really want to? Is the question.
Do you really want to look? Do you want to spend time in a space where you're not valued? But no, again, I will say, your people on TikTok they do value you. You won't get 12,500 followers in short order. In a month and a half. Unless people actually do value. Of course, you won't get all those goods unless people actually value you and what you do. But what I don't want anyone to leave here with today is that you are the problem. You're not. They're the problem.
But it's taken me, even me, who knows so much about mental wellness, it's taken a long time for me to understand that I am not the problem. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's because your mind goes, am I so annoying? Am I so abhorrent? Am I so this? Am I so that? Am I so dreadful that
You're
people
not.
hate me so much? And then I'm thinking, I
You're not.
can't be. This is
No.
not who I am, I
And
know
I think
that, you know that, but
this
it's
can happen. This can happen. This can happen on every platform. Keyboard warriors are everywhere. Now, it's not just social. It's online, full stop, right? and he's a keyboard warrior. So I can say anything behind the keyboard, and they will know. And some platforms are more permissive, some are not. Take a look at Michael's comment. It says, with the messaging issue, only because I had so much exposure like 10 years ago, I had to learn to pick out the good ones without letting the bad ones from impacting my day. I'm not sure if I wasn't going to give away, no DM access, but there are safer groups.
Which is what I'm doing now.
Right. So okay. So there's safer groups that non-crazy people and I could chat. We're also verified by the game. So people know who they were primarily. And so I guess they primarily used Facebook and Telegram back then. And again, I guess finding those safe groups, it's not finding. I would go as far as saying delete those who are rogue. You lose nothing. So now your job, I think, is to identify those 200, the 1%, and just keep those. Get rid of all the others. They'll cost you.
Yeah.
I do with my LinkedIn. I know you get thousands. I got thousands of connections, and every month, at least maybe every couple of months, I'll delete hundreds of them. If you don't come to my events, delete. If you don't respond to anything I do, delete. Why are we connected? I don't. I'm saying, deleting people is not a problem at all. If people don't serve you and have no interest in what you do, get rid of them. Michael says, I'm testing what she's talking about in a real world life simulation. I live in a small town with about 20,000 people, where I live on a celebrity. Oh, I missed the rest of it, Michael. Right, okay. It says Michael's a celebrity, right? It says I used to come on. I said I use the fakes and scammers to get almost a free pass to say whatever. What, in response to that, Michael? Or did you tell them what to say? I sometimes use it just to witty vent, like a Facebook source. But look, I mean, the abuse just does get tiresome. That's what Paulette's saying. It becomes a chore. You can't just turn it into humor. There's only so much humor that you can take from. And some people are downright abusive. Again, this happens on all platforms. So I think we do have to make a choice. So let me work on Aaron as well. How are you doing, Aaron? I'm sure you've seen some of this in your time. I say Big Brother host.
Can I just say that Aaron is looking for people to support him in his chance to be nominated. So can we put that up on the Aaron, can you put your details at the bottom of the Mental Wellness Cafe so that anyone who can will be able to sponsor you, please, or whatever they call it. Not sponsoring, is it? I think it's called voting for. Yeah. So we're going to be voting for him. So yeah, put your details down so we can all vote for you.
Share the link, please. And I say then we'll happily get our friends to get involved as best we can. So Marsha, welcome. Say hi, friends. I read today "Be Humankind." I tell you, really. And this is just about being normal, being kind. Being kind. I'll never accept that someone who's kind should get such abuse anyway. Michael says, I usually try to buy both audio and paper versions of the books to help authors. Yeah, so you should. We love you, Michael. Hopefully you bought our books, then, happy days. But there's more books coming, than that we hope you'll buy. But I don't think any of that online. I have quite a few that are signed by authors that I don't sell. No, I don't do that. I do not agree with someone to someone else's work, which is financial. I know Paulette's relationship with her. I don't know what to call. What do you call them? Suppliers?
Well, the people who are giving me stuff are, or they're not giving it. They call it an affiliation. So it's like they give me products, I then demonstrate those products, review those products. So instead of advertising and spending a fortune on advertising, basically they have hundreds of affiliates that do loads of videos and promote the product to the thousands. Then they don't just go out to my people. My people then send them out to their people. So one video could reach 100,000 quite easily. So the idea is that that's how they produce this replacement advert. So they're using their own commodity product, which is whatever it is they normally sell, and they're saying, right, we need to get rid of 10,000 of these. It would normally cost us X to pay Boots, X to pay Sainsbury's, wherever, Tesco's, whatever. What we'll do, or Walmart, if you're in America, or Walgreens, whatever. What we're going to do is we're going to use the people on TikTok to do it. And all we do is send everybody one of these, right? And that means that they get all those free adverts for just the product. Yeah. But they won't just send you that. They'll send you like 4 or 5 items, and they'll say, oh, they're bonus items. But if you'd like to do a video on them, we'd be really grateful, which means do a video on them, you know? Otherwise, you won't get sent anything else. You know, that's how it works. And I've got to the stage where, you know, I feel I can rattle a few videos out pretty damn quick. I don't do all the, oh my God, you're never going to believe what's in this box. I don't do all that.
Why not?
You know, there are people that absolutely go crazy about, you know, the toothpaste. Oh my God, my teeth have never been so white. I am shook. Shook. I am. And you're like, what, Gillian? And I'm going, what are you so shook about? You know, you've got toothpaste. Tell me, what is there to get? Oh, I'm so shook. And I'm like, I've never been shook about toothpaste in my life, you know. And people have laughed at me and said, you know, I've had messages, Charles will tell you, be more excitable.
Yeah.
Show more. I've been told to be more enthusiastic. This is TikTok. Be more enthusiastic. Show more engagement. Create more excitement around the products. I'm like, sod off. I'm
Yes, I
standing here
agree.
with a bloody lipstick. I've told you where to stick it, and that's about as far as it goes, right? Moving on to the next product, and this is how it goes. And I feel like I've done my very, very best to promote the products. I do make an effort. I don't jump about. I don't sing songs. I don't do all that stuff. But they're not always looking for that. They're looking for mature people to attract mature people, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
saying if a 62-year-old woman nearly, which I'm not quite, I shouldn't keep saying that. I'm a 61-year-old woman, nearly
Yeah.
62.
A young one at
But the point they're saying is if I can attract other people of my age, they will be likely to buy. They will likely have money. They will likely be willing to become TikTokers and go to TikTok shop. I believe that's true. But do I want to be the face of TikTok? No. Do I want to be their cover girl? No. I will, and I have got obligations. Companies like Ninja, because they're part of health, because I'm doing health, wellness, and makeup and hair and body, because I wanted all those products for the kids. And so I've ended up also being sponsored by Ninja. So Ninja have sent me like a bloody, the other day we got a pizza oven, the other day we got
Really?
a double air fryer, we got an ice cream making machine. So I've got to do videos and buy all the gear to make the ice cream and do whatever. That's all fine, and don't get me wrong, I am willing and happy to do anything for those children. because we didn't have the £4,000 or £5,000 we needed this year going spare to do what I've done. And I've ended up, so far, I've got £9,000 of stock. They give you a list at retail. So I've got a running total of 9,000 in 58 days, 59 days, 59 days.
Here, as Michael says, LinkedIn is noticeably improved the last couple of months, at least for me. Michael, LinkedIn, has it improved? It's about the same. Of course, people don't see the problems that we have in the background. People don't see the problems you have in the background, right? Let me tell you, we have problems every day with people. Let me tell you, people are rude, misogynistic, perverted. We've had all of them. I will still have them. Here's the difference, Michael. See, on LinkedIn, once you've been exposed for being the wrong one, that's a good way. That's how I describe them. I think you have no choice but to leave. They have to leave. It's not for us to leave. This is my point earlier, Paula. It's not for us to leave. And when these people leave, we'll never ever see them again. Well, as soon as we clock on that they're con merchants or they're abusive or literally they have to leave the platform. That's who I want it to be. It's not for us to leave the spaces, for them to leave our spaces, because we did nothing wrong. We are. We're trying to make the world a better place, whether they like it or not. And yes, we have an audience which we want to build. So I don't see why we should have to leave ever. And Marsha, of course, I see what Marsha is saying. Marsha is along your lines. We have to excuse ourselves from spaces where we don't feel comfortable in. I can understand that, Marsha. I really can. But I would not be driven out by some crazy person for no reason. No, literally not. No, I've done too. We've all done too much to help our community to let someone drive us off the platform. But LinkedIn is a different beast to TikTok. TikTok is a wild west. I tell you, I'm talking next in my next room with Christina about creating content for different platforms. Right now, you've mentioned enough times, Paul, that they actually want you to sing and dance. Well, obviously that's not true. There's a place for you. Like you said, you are the older ambassador, the older face of TikTok. As nice as that sounds or not, as the case may be, right?
Well, it's honest.
Well, but there's a place for that too, clearly, right? So as much as I want to say to you, just leave, just be done with it. You've got what you wanted within reason, but you're, like you say, you're under obligation, so you have to stay for a bit longer. And if that means not following anyone, so be it. If that means not engaging with anyone, not that I think that's useful, because if you don't engage with people, what are you doing? Marketing is about building relationships. Maybe that's why I say to you, go back to just those 200 people who you know are kosher and just deal with them.
Well, the idea of going from, I've been deleting about 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 today, 2,000 yesterday, and I'm building it up to get down to the last few. I think I'll end up with maybe 500 and then see of those 500 whether they're real. And if they're not, they'll get culled. And then we'll add the ones that do come to the room, the ones that I've culled by accident. And they're all going, please, don't kill us, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not deliberately doing it, but it's so much easier to just go delete than it is to try and find the odd one that you are friends with.
For
But
sure.
I will definitely tell you the caliber of people that are on TikTok are, I would suggest 14, maybe to 20, 14 to 18 maybe is the main age group. And then you've got sort of maybe the 20 to 30s who are talking amongst themselves about their own things that they're interested in. not trying to buy stuff, not selling stuff, not involved in anything like that. You've got at least, I reckon, there's probably 2,000 to 3,000 mediums. There's probably at least the same amount of tarot card readers. There's not, I've got them because I don't follow them, but there's at least another 5,000 people that do numerology and, you know, other kinds of angel numbers and check your this and check your that. I mean, we are talking about people making money on TikTok. They've made an income. They've made it their livelihood. And if my gay friends that are on there, that I really do, really like, I really genuinely like, I mean, would happily meet up. I said this to Charles, you know, I'd like to meet these guys. Um, you know, he gets abuse and he goes, "That's what your dad said last night." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you can't say that. You can't say that." But he did. He just said it live. Like that bosh, straight back at, you know. They said something disgusting to him about him being gay, and he says, "Yeah, that's what your dad said last night when I
Okay,
was, you know,
that,
him."
that's what Michael meant by it takes a chance to respond in, you know, with comments that he
But
wouldn't
you
say
see,
otherwise.
he's got 150,000 followers, so
Mm,
he's a lot more valuable to TikTok. So TikTok won't violate him or give him points against him because he's got a big following. They'll give him gifts and presents and little things. They'll say congratulations on your 100,000, congratulations on your 50,000, like YouTube do. They're very similar in that respect. They push the number game. The numbers is everything. But like I said, when you actually understand what the number, the percentage ratio, when you really understand it,
mm,
it's
mm,
shocking. You
mm.
know, how many people you have to have in order to get to a decent bunch of people is shocking, right? So, you know, if I end up with 150 decent people and they say, please don't leave and just come and do a room once a day for an hour, about, you know, this such and such time, I would be willing to do that if they were buying product off me or buying
Yes.
books. If they're
See,
not buying books or product, then I'm not coming
you see,
because
I can
that's
see
the
how
end of it.
you're gonna fall in a pit because if you reduce the number below 1,000, then technically you're below TikTok's criteria
No, no,
requirement.
no. I'm not getting rid of the people. The people stay. The 12,500
Yeah.
stay.
Okay. Yeah.
It's those that I follow that go
Yeah. Yeah.
down.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they'll be like celebrities might have
Yeah.
3 million people following
Mm,
them, but
mm,
they
mm.
only follow 234, which are their family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If that.
if that,
You know,
maybe 12.
Marsha. So Marsha, I take your comment. You know, the same people are, you know, that are rude leave and then return to be kind again, and then turn around and do it all over again. You know, it's a toxic cycle. Marsha, as you said it very well, protect your peace and set boundaries. You know, essentially, you know, breathe the wrong way, you're blocked, you're out. You know, anyone who asks about your toes is out. You know, anyone who asks about your hair is
Even
out.
last night, I had a guy asking me about do I wear toe polish on my toes? Yes, can I see? No.
Blocked, blocked.
And then Charles shouting at me because I had it on here live because I was
Mhm.
watched the football, so I was late. And he just said, just block them, block them, block them, block
Yeah,
them.
block, you
So
block,
I
you block.
did. They're
I
just like
agree.
block, 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 block. You
Block,
know,
block, block, block,
I
indeed.
think it was about 6 on the trot. They all got blocked, you know. And yet when I say 6 on the trot, they're probably the same people. This is what I don't think people understand. People don't have one account, they have half a dozen. And so when one gets sung off, they just come straight back in with another one. So, and they'll say the same thing in exactly the same
Mm,
way, and they think you don't notice. But because I'm that kind of person, I'm an anal kind of person, I will notice that the spelling mistake is exactly the same this
Yeah,
time as it was last time, you know?
yeah. It's such a it's such a disgrace. Like, I'm saddened for all of us because these people are ruining social media for everyone. God help the kids who spend their time on social media. I mean that sincerely. And maybe I'll say, thank goodness the government's think of banning it. It's not that I think that's going to solve the problem because kids want to be on there, so and they're just going to carry on facing this toilet full of people.
Well, I mean, I didn't actually send it. I've just sent it to myself because I read it to Cyrus and he went, "Do not send that because they'll just sling you off the bloody platform." I called it a cesspit. I said it's a cesspit of this, that, and the other, and he was like, "I think that just go back and look at it in half an hour, a cup of coffee, and come back to it and do
Mm,
another one that's not quite so aggressive." And then the next one was like toned down by maybe 4 or 5 on the oven. I was like a 10. I went down to about a 4 or 5, but they still got all the comments. They just were made to be a little bit more. Look, you need to do something about this if you're going to survive, because eventually people will get sick and tired of being abused. You know, you're not going to have anyone here. People just aren't going to be wanting to be on this platform. And, QVC have just joined TikTok and they were saying that QVC is a company that was very much off television. That was the big TV online shopping center. And TV have just, they've come from TV on TikTok and they're doing amazing things. But the average age of their audience is 30 plus, right? Now, doesn't that tell you something? That the people that go to the QVC page on TikTok are 30 plus. They've got that as they've already got that. They've worked that out. They've got that information from whoever and however they get this information. But the point I'm making is that you play to your strengths. They are now going to sell products that are going to be for family, for home, predominantly the sort of stuff they would have sold, not clothing, but the sort of stuff they used to sell online, as they still will, but they'll now do it on TikTok for just for 2 or 3 hours every day, and now it's going to be 7 days a week. I just think that I've never wanted to be anybody else because the whole point is, how can I say I'm an author, right? I'm
mm.
Paulette Hallam. I'm the author of the book Jack and Walter, right? That should be enough for them to find the books if they're interested, without having to go on the whole, go and have a look on the,
Mm.
you know, uh, the various things that you have to say. You're not
Pse-
allowed to say
pse-
eBay. You're not allowed to say PayPal.
Pseudonym that you have to
It's
use.
all it's yeah,
It's
it's
hard enough.
ridiculous. The
It's hard enough to
rainforest.
hear.
I say go to the rainforest beginning with A, or pop along to my W. Like what's my W? And everyone knows what a W is. And you can follow the link from there.
I love, I
It's
love, I love.
ridiculous.
You
The
know,
whole
my,
thing. And
mm,
if you dare to say Amazon, it's a 10-point violation immediately. And that's what I told you. The other day I had a note saying you've got so many violations currently that you're about to be slung off the platform. And I was like, well, that's one way of going, isn't it? But I don't know whether I'll get invoiced by all the people for the products that I've got that I haven't reviewed. So I need to know that information. You can't get it because I've
so,
looked.
so for each one, do you sign an agreement? I'm curious. So,
No, but
right.
the agreement, the affiliation agreement is that you will supply a 10-second video, a 10-minute video, a live on that product, and then as far as they're concerned, you're then selling that product for them. So I should have a shop with all the products in it on display, No, I've not done that yet because I haven't got the right customers. I haven't got the right volume of people. With the number that I'm talking about at the moment, I'm probably looking at, if I was lucky, 100 people, and I reckon more like 50. And those 50 aren't going to buy enough to be really worth me trying to set a shop up. So we'll see. We'll see how it plans out. But, you know, Sarah from the charity's coming on Friday, and we'll work out what we've got and what the plans are and what we're going to do. And we go from there, really. If she says, look, gosh, you've got enough, and, you know, by the time you've made all the kits up, it's going to be amazing, blah, 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 don't worry, then I don't have to worry, right?
You don't have to
I
worry.
can,
I'm sure you got,
I can leave.
you got a house full of stuff. You know,
Hmm.
poor Ted's complaining. I know Charles is looking at boxes. Everyone's looking at boxes. You get
Charles
delivery
has
all
been
day,
to the
all day.
dump. Charles is now on first name terms with the guy that runs the dump. He goes twice a week with boxes
yeah.
and all the polystyrene and everything, because obviously there's so much of it. But we are talking about £9,000. So if I was to say, oh, I've earned £9,000 in commission in 65 days, sorry, in 59 days, you would not say that's a bad number, right?
No, look, you haven't got 9,000 in commission. You got 9,000 in goods, right? How, you know, whichever currency you
But
want to
if
use.
I was to try and go and buy those products, that's the price I'd pay.
It's the other way around. That's like you're seeing it. I see it totally the other way, right? Yeah, and I have maybe I have a mental problem with people who want to sell through others. That's probably my problem, right? You know, we'll say no, multi-level marketing is what it looks like, right? You know, rather you can't sell your own junk yourself, so you get someone else to sell it. No, I think that is it's not exploitation. I just don't like it. And because
It's a different way of doing it. It's not.
yeah, it's a different way.
It's just a different way, and it's saying to themselves, I don't want to spend the money on an advert, so I'll use that money that I would have spent on an advert using my own commodity, which is the product, and I can give 1,000 of them away, and I splat hundreds of thousands of people all over TikTok with this product and sell X number of products.
which I,
Products sell out, any products sell out.
you
They
know,
sell like 800 units in one session.
funny how no one I know does this and it's a happy camper.
Oh,
They're
no,
they're on
it's not a
TikTok. They're
happy
not happy
place.
campers. No,
No, it's not.
right.
I'm not
That's the
happy.
problem.
I'm
Yeah,
not happy. I've done it for a purpose. But if you said to me, if you said to me, would you do it again? No, no. I've been there, done it, worn the t-shirt. I'm not doing it again. I did a car boot sale once. Did you hear that? Once.
Yeah,
And people were I was putting prices like this brand new box of tissues, for example, normally cost you £1 in the shop. I was knocking out at 20p. And I had people coming up going, I'll give you 5p for it. And I wanted to hit them around the head, and Charles had to keep taking me away from them, saying, be nice. I said, what's the point in me putting a price on it for you to just try and knock me down, you know? So I'm never going to do a car boot because I don't like the clientele. It's not my place. I don't get on with those sorts of people that are that rude, you know? I don't mind a bit of haggling, but it's like just nasty, rude, arrogant.
They're,
Ugh, no
I'm
thanks.
sure they're not as rude as the TikTok people. You know,
No, they didn't
try and
ask to
beat you
suck
down.
my big
Yeah.
toe. No, they didn't. I was not asked to get my toes out at any point or any other thing beginning with T. But the point I'm making is that they're still like pushing their luck all the time. I'm poor. I don't have very much money. Will you give me this? Will you give me that? And it's like I'm doing everything I can to sell this product because we've been given it by a company that needs to get the maximum they can because they've gone bust, and we're trying to help them out. And we got lumbered with 4 pallet loads of stock whilst they were trying to, and it was just something that Charles and I agreed to do, and we wished to go and done it. And by the time we finished, it was much better on eBay. So we sold it all on eBay and got really good prices for it, and it was all very plain sailing.
Yeah.
Nobody to argue the price. That's the
Mm,
price. Do you want it or don't you? You know. And if
mm.
it's £2 and we're offering it for 20p, for God's sake, don't offer me 10p because I will punch
Yeah.
you. You
No,
know.
what? The answer is no, right? Look.
Right. So that's why it works on eBay. But the
Mm,
platform of TikTok is they're not ready for old people. I didn't fit in. I don't fit in. What I've done is proved that an older person can create a market. But what I've also proved is that you have to have a skin as thick as a rhinoceros not to let that get to you. And
mm.
boundaries aside, it's so hard.
Yeah.
There's
Look,
only so much you can deal with.
Michael, I have to thank you. So Michael, Michael's gone through the whole thing, trying to doing what you do, being visible and being on this platform to help others, to help kids, yes, and for a good cause. And but sometimes, when you tend to monetize something off making money off social media, and what looks like an opportunity, as Michael was saying, sometimes we just have to decline, say no. It's not because we're wrong. It's just because the hassle is not worth it. I mean, look, you can sell stuff on OnlyFans if you insist. I'd rather not. You can sell stuff on what's the other one? That Gumroad. Yeah, there's all of those. You sell stuff many places, right?
Where?
Gumroad, Gumtree. It's what we call it here.
Ah.
In the US, it's called Gumroad. Making money where you want to build relationships, you have to choose carefully. I agree with that. And sometimes we just have to say, no, I'm not going there. Me and Tiki Toki will never get on. But now, look, we've got a couple of minutes left, literally a couple of minutes, Paulette. So if we're going to stay on the platform, give me your top 3 tips. And then the next part will be if we're going to leave, what say you? How do we do that?
Top tips would be don't follow anyone until you've actually met them in person. And they've been to your room more than once and they've shown themselves to be decent humans. So that will be the first one. So don't just follow anybody. The next one would be know what you want to do. Are you there for selling product, collecting product, using product? Well, what's your purpose for being there? Know it. Absolutely know it. Nail it. And then thirdly, if you're there to make money, be warned. There are people that have been on this site for a very long time, making a few £100 a month and putting in 7 days a week, at least 3 or 4 hours a day, and are making the square root of bugger all. So yes, if you want samples, yes, if you want products, it works for you. But if you are looking at it in terms of a business, I think you have to have a very clear strategy. I think it's fine having some salespeople I've seen are so appalling. They sit there with a table and just sit like this with all the product lined up in front of them and music playing. And then people come in the room and they don't say anything. And then eventually somebody says, can I look at number 8? What price can you do on number 8 for me? And they go, number 8, I'll have a look. And they come back, they go, oh, that's the blah. Oh, I don't have that one. But I can tell you the price. And the customer's left going, what? It. You've really got to be a bit more enthusiastic, dear. And how dare them tell me I've got to be more enthusiastic. So I think that you've got to be willing to be the jumpy, happy person that they're looking for, and they're not looking for people who are like me, like not just straight as a die. That's not what they used to.
A nice rude person's not what they want.
No, not really. And if you talk about why would you leave, which is a really good reason for leaving, would be mental health. I think it's very, very hard on your mental health. I think it is detrimental to who you are if you have to keep reminding yourself of your values, your boundaries, your morals, your ethics, and go, this doesn't fit in, right? That's why I said I don't fit in, because my morals and ethics and everything else say different to what I'm seeing. In terms of leaving, getting rid of people, upsetting people because you've now unfollowed them, that gives them the but I don't care because they're unfollowed, which means they can't get to me. There isn't any email address they can reach. There isn't anywhere else they can get to me. But some weirdo said to me the other day, "You live in Huntingdon, don't you?" And I was like, "Pardon?" And he said, "I've looked you up." And I said, "Where did you look me up?" He said, "On LinkedIn." I was like, "Oh." And it's like that really made me go a bit, "Oh, are you going to turn up? I'm going to open the door and you're going to be there." Hello, my name's Tenacious J. Ah, you know, um, I think it's a little bit the caliber of personnel is not what we're used to on LinkedIn, and it certainly isn't the sort of people that I necessarily gel with. So I'm having to find a very specific group. The fact that it's run by bots and nothing else, and the bots, I think, on average are maybe 15, 12 to 15, the bots. They're not adult bots.
Year-olds.
They're very young bots, because they pick you up on things like, as I said, I was like, "And you rub the cream into your face. Violation. This video will not be able to be used because you covered your face." I was rubbing cream in. That's what you do. You rub cream in. I sent the message. I object to civil,
Mm.
and it came out. Went, okay, fine, we'll let it go. But I just think, oh, I can't. I don't want to be spending my time as a retired woman fighting with these crazy bots. And when the bot said to me, "What is your problem?" I said, "You." And it said, "Well, what's wrong with me?" And I said, "I want to speak to a human." And then the bot said, "Oh, well, we'll try and find a human for you." I said, "That would be nice." And then another bot came along and said, "I'm a senior bot. Can I help you?" And I said, "No, I want a human."
I
And
shouldn't. I
then
shouldn't laugh.
you can laugh because it's hilarious. And then if I did a stand-up show on this, I'd earn a
Mm.
fortune. And then the senior bot referred me to a person who had a name, and it was a real human, and they told me to leave. I was like, "What?"
Ridiculous.
I don't think this is for
Ridiculous.
you. I don't
Yeah.
think this is for you, they said. And I just thought, well, that's the answer you just said to me
Mm.
just now. Do you fit in? And she told me, the lady, if you're not happy, you can always leave.
I say leave. Look, I like Michael's idea, and there are some AI capabilities that can build auto replies and auto responses to your DMs. If they're that offensive, let a bot, your bot, talk to them instead. I think that's a good one, Michael. I like that. Of course, you might have to ask someone how to do that, Paul. I know you and your your tech skills are not, They are to be, yes. But Michael said,
There's a bit of we're a bit lacking in the techie skills.
yeah, no, there's a gap between you and the tech skills. That's all it is. Great insights. You say you have to get used to it somehow. Address it by retiring from the game with help from the developer. One of my friends had to flee a country. When it gets too close to home, it can become more than online. It's true. No, it's true. I say, Michael, that's so true. I know people who've been harassed in real life. But look, all we can do is start the conversation and keep it going. I'll remind you one of someone who decided that they're going to chase you up on LinkedIn and with your address. Remember that? You know what I mean? So I'm going to come and see you. So it can happen on any platform. But my friends, we're not the problem. And maybe the last I'll say is that we're here to find our tribe. And our tribe is here,
and that would be the 150 or the 100 out of the
1,000. Really that. I'll say, but our tribe is here. We need to find them and build our relationship with them and stick with them, right? We'll make more money from now. So we'll do more business with our friends anyway. So don't waste time chasing mugs and being mugged off by idiots. Really not. Michael, I'm trying to see what's the last one I want to go to. Michael says, I was able to beta test Meta's AI. We're still friends, but I'm giving X a chance now. You're a brave man, my friend. That's full of weirdos. I used to own shares in Twitter. That's probably why. So I was salty. LinkedIn is where I spend my time because I know who you are. And my friends are everywhere around the world, so I don't expect anyone to come into my house. Like no one knows where I live. I know where I live. They don't. I live very far from humanity, is the way I describe it. But thank you so much, Michael. I think Chanda was here as well earlier. Who else was here? I'm trying to find out. So Chanda was here. CJ, Anisha was here as well. But thank you so much, my friends. Thank you for spending your time with us. And I'm glad we got through. So my next room is with Christina. I'm gonna go and start that straight away. So you want to join us? We're talking about how to create content that hooks and converts on different platforms. So if you want to join us for that one, I'll send you the link. Hopefully you can join us, right? Paulette, have you said anything you want to say? Yes, you do that. You're allowed a coffee. You're more than a coffee, but we'll be there, right? Michael, what sort of talk is that? And he's a king of thieves. Now playing them, Mike. I'm blaming Facebook. Yeah, so you should. Michael Cox was forced to become Michael Burns, or I would not. Or I lost my gaming account. I was already famous and #1 in the game. Okay, I love it. They're cool to take. Take care, Michael. Take care, everyone. Paulette, thank you so much. I'm sure this won't go away. So of course, we'll give
one way or another, my dear. One way or another, it will go away.
It won't. You say it will. I say it won't.
No, it will.
God, I'll see you later. You take care.
Bye, everyone. See you soon. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
And he sees you. He sees you. He sees you. From the children with no voice in borrowed rooms. She retrained her heart to heal the young. Turned her passion into purpose, work begun. Co-author of a movement, not-for-profits game, teaching kids that self-belief can ease the pain. Every child deserves to face their